Thank you all for staying with us. Welcome now to Talk of the Nation. Now, following the decision by the President to partially lift the lockdown restrictions after 42 days, many in the business community are relieved. However, many others are not sure how they will be able to meet their obligations after an extended period of no earnings. Tonight, we speak to Mr. John Walugembe, the Executive Director of Federation of Small and Medium-Scale Enterprises, on this and more. A very good evening and welcome.
Thank you, Sandra, for having me here.
Well, now the 42 days have been lifted. The 42 days lockdown has been lifted. What does this mean for the business community?
So this is a huge relief to the business community, particularly the micro, small and medium-sized enterprises that have been the worst affected by the pandemic and by the lockdown. We believe that now is the time to start putting their affairs in order, to start selling, and to start getting back on their feet. We are happy that the President listened to our appeal to partially reopen the economy, because ultimately you have to balance the public health issues and the health issues. That said, SMEs need to be aware that the responsibility is on them to ensure that we don't go into another lockdown soon. As the President said, we need to emphasize self-regulation. And as a federation, we are going to be very active, following up the different groups and associations to ensure there's proper self-regulation and observance of standard operating procedures.
He did also mention the fact that though the busy business centers, for instance, should open, the kiosks should remain closed. What is your opinion on that?
No,
I think micro.
We advised, and we are happy that the President took our advice. Just because of excessive congestion in Chikubo, that excessive congestion should not warrant the closure of the entire place. We can decongest. Someone has to move away. If someone pays for a shop of 2 million and you are selling on the street, yes, you deserve to earn money, but he'll take priority. So what we are asking government to do is to look at alternatives where our hawkers and other kiosk operators can operate from within the central business district, because again, if you take them outside, it defeats purpose. The clients won't find them there. But put them in the place where they can be adequately spaced also, so that they can continue selling. No, people shouldn't look for money at the expense of their own lives. Yes.
The bigger question now is how will the business community recover post the lockdown? Are there plans, for instance, from your own interactions on how they plan to recover from the effects of the lockdown? So,
firstly, the number of issues we thought the President should have tackled. Issues of rent, particularly for traders in Kampala. I think we should find a solution with these lockdowns, because the status quo has been that there's a lockdown and then the tenant has to pay once the lockdown is lifted. We believe that's unfair. They've not been earning. That's unfair. Moreover, some landlords insisted on locking their clients' stock within the shops. Okay? So we believe that there needs to be a conversation. Maybe government can't dictate what should be done, but government can act as an honest broker between the tenants and the landlords to see that there's a win-win situation. We can't have a situation where the burden is passed to the small business owner continually. I think that's not good. The landlord does not lose, everyone does not lose, but the small business owner loses. I think that, in my opinion, is completely unsustainable.
Now, from where you stand as a federation, what recommendations do you have for the authorities? You did point out some, but what are those other recommendations that you have undercover as a federation to support the small and medium enterprises? Okay,
so firstly, we want to appreciate His Excellency for promising to allocate 200 billion. Yes. Said 100 is from government, 100 billion may come from other private financial institutions. We believe this is a good thing. The President now recognizes the important role that this sector plays. Our appeal is that as the Ministry of Finance comes up with modalities of managing these funds, it should be done jointly. The Federation is willing to work with the Ministry to ensure that we manage these resources in a way that reaches the final beneficiaries. As a federation, it's not our interest to manage the resources, but rather it's our interest to ensure that it benefits.
Speak to us on that exactly. How can we see that this 200 billion gets to the intended beneficiaries?
So our thought is that you can have a partial loan, partial grant arrangement. So the partial loan arrangement can be managed by financial institutions. The grant arrangements can be managed by associations. So what the federation and other umbrella bodies can do really is just to recommend and do due diligence, and then identify who are the credible associations that should benefit from this. Because what you're also going to see is a lot of fake groups coming up to take advantage of these resources. So what organizations like ours can do is to ensure that we only allocate money to credible associations of entrepreneurs who have actually been hurt by this pandemic. Okay, not by busybodies who look at this as an opportunity to make money. Yes.
Well, if we could take us back to the initial lockdown, we did see that many people were crying. What we saw, you know, even in the second lockdown, and the worry is that we can actually find ourselves again in a lockdown. You know, from your own perspective, you know, keeping the businesses at the back of our minds, but also the health of Ugandans. How do we then move forward to see that we all work together to see that we don't get into a third wave of the COVID-19 pandemic, but again have our businesses going on?
So we cannot guarantee that we cannot go into a third lockdown.
Yes.
But we can guarantee one thing. That is, we can make sure that we are able to behave as Ugandans. Because those SOPs are there to protect us. So let's observe them. Now that the president has relaxed the lockdown a bit, let's be responsible. Let's put on masks. Let's carry our sanitizers. Let's social distance. Let's observe these things to the letter. And for SMEs and the associations, I want to emphasize one thing: self-regulation. It means KCCA needs not come to supervise how many people in the taxi. You, people in the taxi association, do that. If they have said no hawkers in Chikubu, really the association for hawkers needs to ensure that their members are in another place where they can still sell. Similarly, the wholesalers need to ensure that they're also responsible. Don't have 20 people in the shop. Have a few. Self-regulation is important. The other issue is that businesses need to realize that this is going to be a bit of a long-term issue. This disease is not going to go away soon. We're having new variants and so on. The vaccination process will take long. So we have to adapt our activities to the new normal. Yes. And this is where we talk about digitalization for businesses. Go online. Go online. For government, we say one thing: please remove the 12% tax on data. It's completely unhelpful because we are trying to encourage SMEs to go online. With this tax, that's another barrier for people transitioning online. So we want to tell SMEs, please make sure that you adapt to the new situation and that you're able to digitalize.
The complaints, and you bring them out, the tax incentives, I mean, how do we deal around the new tax regimes that they are being put in place? What are some of the discussions that we should be having to see that post-lockdown, people are not overwhelmed with the taxes?
So I think government should realize, and I'm happy that they have allocated this 200 billion. It's a first start, but it shows that government also now recognizes the importance of helping that businesses recover. Now, with regard to the tax measures, there are some tax measures we believe are justified. There are others we believe are not justified. Then there are others where we are more concerned about implementation. For instance, as part of the stimulus package of last year, certain benefits were given to businesses, but some of those were not actualized. Let every benefit, whether tax relief or whatever that's been extended to SMEs, let it actually be implemented to the letter before we even ask for more. Yes. As
we conclude our conversation this evening, there's always an opportunity in a problem. I want to believe so. Yes. What are some of the opportunities that you believe are available for the SMEs to exploit in order to get back on feet now?
SMEs need to find new delivery models.
Yes.
SMEs need to identify new distribution models. The president, for instance, asked manufacturers to set up outlets. My view is that we need to have distributors, new businesses in the distribution chain. We need to look at how our young people can benefit from the different opportunities that have arisen in ICT as a result of this pandemic. Also, the wash sector presents a lot of opportunities. Sanitation and hygiene, there are very many opportunities there. So I want to urge SMEs out there. If you have been operating a bar and you have been waiting for 2 years for your bar to be reopened, please pivot as soon as possible, because we never know when the bars will be open. So stop whining and complaining, identify whatever opportunity is next to you, and then you move. If you need support, please reach out to us. The Federation is a not-for-profit association, not a business. We are not out there to make money. We are not going to ask money from you. Reach out to us, we'll give you free advice.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. John Walugembe, who's the Executive Director of the Federation of Small and Medium-Scale Enterprises. You can reach out to him just in case you need some advice on how to maneuver post this lockdown. Thank you as well for watching us tonight. We'll take a short break and we'll be back.